Jay here for Stretford, Paddock, and this is the Devils podcast. Joining me today are two of my favourite United fans. Casey Evans. Casey, how we doing?
Hi, nice to be on now.
Go on, you can do it. Words help in this scenario, I think.
Scenario.
Right, that's enough from Casey.
Yeah, that's
Won't
great.
be hearing from him again.
I'm glad to be here.
And hopefully someone who can speak. Stephen Howson, how we doing, mate?
I can speak.
Thank you, mate. At least two of us on this podcast can.
Andy, that, innit?
And
It's
we're
a great
not
start.
changing it. We're not doing it again. We're keeping it.
It's
You
a
need to
great-
learn. He needs to learn the
great
hard way,
start.
Stephen. These kids, these youngsters, need an hard lesson. Eh?
Cheers, thanks for that, Jay.
You all right?
Yeah, I am, mate. How are you?
I'm all right.
Hey, it's all right last night, wasn't it? It's all right football, isn't it?
Yeah. Dad rang me this morning. Who's that team that played in red at Old Trafford last night? I said, they're all right, though, aren't they?
That's mint. I love that. It was so good last night. It was, yeah, it was because going into that game, I didn't know a lot about RB Leipzig, but from listening to you guys, they obviously I knew they were a good team. They're the top of the Bundesliga.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So you know, even if you don't rate the Bundesliga that highly, it's still a decent league.
Oh, you mean the home of the European champions?
Exactly. It's not like you go, oh, Bundesliga, it's a bit crap. It's Farmers League, isn't it? Oh, is it really?
Well, them farmers can play ball.
Yeah, they can. They're like just a little bit. So I was like, right, okay, these might be a bit decent then. And obviously we've been linked with that defender quite a lot.
Both of them, actually.
Well, yeah.
Canati and Upamecano.
Yeah.
Just on that, well, let's talk about last night because obviously when I say last night, I mean Wednesday night.
But it's going out today, isn't it?
No, it's not. So the power of television or the power of video, it's not tonight. It's last night. It's the night before. On Wednesday evening.
Are you all having chippy tea tonight, then?
Oh yeah, it is. It's chippy tea, isn't it? Yes.
I haven't had chippy
yes.
tea for a bit.
Why? It's the rules, Stephen. Friday night is chippy tea night.
I'll get chippy tea.
It's
then.
Big Shop then chippy tea.
I don't do Big Shop on a Friday.
Do you not?
No.
When do you do it?
Saturday or occasionally on a Sunday.
No, you're crazy. You do Big Shop on a Saturday?
Yeah.
No. You go in the shop as well, not online. One of
This
these
conversation
online.
is
well,
way
don't-
too grown
don't
up for
worry
me.
about Sometimes a Tuesday, because I have Tuesday off, don't I?
Ah, right,
So
okay.
sometimes
I
I'll
like
go on a
that.
Tuesday.
I like a bit of a curveball. Big Shop, what? Do it on Tuesday, mate.
Tuesday.
What? All right, yeah.
Occasionally, you do have to go and fight with the Hordes on a Saturday.
Mate, I can't
But
do
yeah,
that, mate.
to be fair, with footy, Paddock FC and here, you don't see me on a Saturday.
That's true.
I am like the Scarlet
You
person. on a Saturday.
on a Saturday. Was it last Saturday where you literally like left the game, came here, the seat was empty for you, took your coat off, sat down, and it was like right, that's it. So there isn't many
That's what happens
gaps.
at home and all.
Yeah, there isn't many gaps to go and do a big shop round as the Sainsbury's or wherever your supermarket of choice may
I'm
be.
a Tesco man, me. What about you?
Well, I prefer Asda, but we've just moved nearby to a Morrison's. So my missus is Morrison's.
Not a fan of Morrison's.
I'm not. She loves it. I'm like, no. I'm an Asda fan, but I did have a slight altercation in there the other way, we don't need to get into. Where do you do your big shop?
Tesco.
There is a Marks and Spencer at the bottom of my street.
Oh, is there now? Hey,
Marks
And
and Spencer's.
Occasionally treat myself. Right, do you know what though? I say go and treat myself. They do some like I'm gonna call them ready meals, but not microwave meals. They're oven meals. But
Right.
they're mint. Like they do like a massive Yorkshire pud with like a Sunday dinner in there.
Did you
It's
really
Marks
nice
and Spencer
hot
as well,
dogs?
so it's good.
do you know what I
They do
love?
things called posh dogs, which are great hot dogs.
They're all right.
Yeah. My mum, whenever she goes to Marx's, she'll always tell me like, she'll go, I've got you some food there. It's from Marx's. Just like,
They do pizzas as well, which are belting.
They do the
Like
sourdough.
big oval fuckers.
The sourdough
Do you know-
ones, I'm not really a fan of. Oh,
What's this thing going on? Right.
Oh.
Do you know what annoys me though? Is the amount of people who are posting these tweets about a meal. I've cooked a meal and I bought the potatoes for 8p and the gravy for 2p and the carrot for a penny.
And I found the rest
The
of
leg
it
of
in the-
lamb, I found in the bin
fridge. I found in
outside.
the
Don't worry
fridge.
about that. That was 13 quid.
Yeah.
was
And I
one
fed
where-
my family for 6 months on it.
36 meals
Yeah,
we got out of
and
that.
then we
fucking did you?
And then we built a small little toy out of the bones and gave it to the kids for Christmas. Like,
Right,
what are you
on
about?
that note, right, because I have seen a lot of people doing that. Typically, the dickheads that are doing this either work from home, right,
Yes.
and there ain't no working class jobs that work from home.
That's relatively true. Yeah, I won't know about not working class jobs because some working class jobs are, if you look at the sort of the pay, are working from home. But I get what you mean. Yeah,
No
most-
traditional working class jobs. They're blue collar, not white collar.
Well, yeah, blue collar jobs. Obviously, not working from home if you're a joiner.
No.
unless you're just doing your own
Lift
house up.
engineer.
Yeah,
Unless
yeah,
you're
I work
doing
from
your own
home.
house up.
Yeah,
in
I've
charge of
got
your
8 lifts
family.
in my house.
I'm a lift engineer.
Sorry,
I'm
love,
a
I've done
tar
the
macker.
stairs today.
I'm a scaffolder.
Give us 80 quid.
They're not typically on a fucking laptop in your kitchen.
No, I get
None
your
of them
point.
jobs.
I
That's
get
my
what you-
point.
yeah,
It's
I
like
get it.
typically the working class job, whether that's working in a shop, working on a building site, it's working at a fucking place that you got to go to.
Yeah.
So typically typically the motherfuckers that are doing these stews, right? For starters, they're usually middle class or Tories or both, or at least.
Yep.
They're often retired,
Yep.
so they got fucking hours in the day to dick around peeling
And the kids
sports.
are like 32.
Yeah.
So it's like, really? What are you on about?
Most working class people I know that have got a kid or two, or even though I've got a teenager and a toddler, I got no time for anything.
Nah, it's me.
The other day, right, Janine went away for a couple of days. So I've now got the baby to me like a limpet because she's not seen me for 2 nights. So Janine's gone out to work and I'm trying to make me tea. I'm just doing pasta and chicken, just something dead basic, right? But I've got to hold the baby while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So if that was if that had one more step in my tea, I'd have got a takeaway. But do you know what I mean? So pasta and chicken, pretty fucking straightforward. If I put chicken in the oven and I'm doing a pasta on the hob, sound. If it had had an extra step in it, I'd have fucked it off and done something else.
Of course.
This is the issue, is that people don't have time. Yes, you can buy pasta for pennies. Yes, you could probably buy a couple of sauces for pennies. The fucking preparation time. And a lot of working class people aren't just working one job. No. They're working fucking 2.
And also, you know, I'm guessing that you're not on free gas and electric, and you know it's not free to go to the shop and buy all this stuff, and you don't just go and buy like, oh, can I have a meal's worth of sauce?
When Steve did the pasta, he collected the rainwater himself. And
So
that's
I
what he
mean,
used to
it's
boil
like you know, it's just absolutely ridiculous, and this is obviously, if you don't know, been in response to some bloke.
Basically, Marcus is trying to campaign for kids not to go hungry, which.
Got 1 million signings on his
I
petition
don't
now.
understand how anyone's got anything to say about this.
Why is there an argument?
It shouldn't be an argument, should there?
I want to feed kids that are going hungry.
Well,
Right, okay.
I've got a point on that. Well, no one gives a fuck, mate. Go and boil your head.
The rainwater that you collected from outside.
To say on this, like, it's fucking nonsense. There was something I was going to say. I forgot what the fucking point was. Marcus is trying to feed kids. People are like, oh, you should look after your own kids. Like, circumstances don't fucking change.
Well, like,
fucking good
lots
for
of
you.
us lost either our jobs
Or a percentage of the job.
Some of us sat around this table that happened to, or like you say, a percentage of your wage. And there's this term that sort of applied to me. It was just about managing. You know, the just about managing generation almost, where everyone in this country, they said, was one payday. If you lose a payday away from almost disaster, almost go into Wonga. Seriously, like, I can't pay my bills. I can't, you know, each payday, it covers everything I need to cover. So when you take 20% of that away, or in some cases a bit more.
Welcome to Foxville, population you.
Yeah, the people are now below the just about managing, so they're not managing. And this isn't people that are just sat at home with a feet up, can't be bothered, smoking fags, playing PlayStation, which is another idiotic point I've heard made from people that don't like this idea. They're working, they're trying to feed the kids, they're doing a good job of being a human being, unlike some, and they're just unable to do it. But thankfully, we have, or should have, processes in place which can help them out. But some people are going, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, why are they sticking the roar in?
The fact of the matter is, when they keep saying, "Oh, there are some bad parents and there's some parents who do it," okay, yeah, maybe there's some parents who don't care.
There's some
about
fucking bad kids, Casey.
That's what I mean.
Don't mean fucking starve the little bastards.
I mean, that's what I mean.
does it?
Like, the situation is like, yeah, maybe there's bad parents. There might be good parents, and there might be parents who just can't feed the kids. The fact is, a kid still needs to be fed because they can't be fed or they're not being fed. And the fact is, why should the kids suffer?
Why should it fall on the government to do that? Sorry, what? These are fucking governments that bailed out the banks. These are the governments that put 500 million into let's all go and have something to fucking eat last month. But now it's like 20 million.
They put bill, mate. They've given like.
Honestly, if someone
it was like all the PPE contracts and stuff like that. Have you ever made PPE before? No. When did you start your company? About a week ago. Friday. Yeah. All right. What qualifications you got? I know your sister. All right. Okay. Yeah. It's £1 billion.
I'm a Tory donate.
Yeah. Here you go then. Can you make the PPE though? Not really.
Well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll work it out.
I've actually found out who does those meals, by the way. The one where they say it's always 16p for that. It's actually the person who makes the meals in the Houses of Commons. They're just like, oh yeah, here's this meal. That's
they all get
£2.
like, don't they get like
Fish and chips for
subsidised?
Because they're away from their home. Don't they have a second home? It wasn't that the whole thing.
So corrupt.
Do you know what? As I was leaving the military, they introduced something called Z Block accommodation. So that was accommodation which had like an ensuite bathroom. It was quite a large bedroom because you have a lot of kit with the military, like different temperate climates and stuff like that.
Like your
so
air dryer and stuff like your strainers.
Yeah, you got your desert kit, you got your Arctic kit, you got your greens, you got all this different stuff. And then there's usually like a desk in there and enough room for a double bed, right? And I said, why don't they build Z Block accommodation for the MPs? If it's good enough for our soldiers to live in,
well said.
Brand new, it's new accommodation. It's brand new built. Usually like little tower blocks, like uni halls type kind of vibe. Why is it not acceptable for people who are very well paid, because they only do about 100 fucking days in government, don't they, anyway, if that. They don't do much. Why is it not acceptable for them to be built some Z block accommodation? Because we're basically, there's a lot of these who are career politicians. That shouldn't be a thing. It's supposed to be the House of Commons. Well, you're not common if you're a politician. So it's gone away from the whole idea of what it was in the first place. They should be able to live in the Z block accommodation. They shouldn't be allowed to profit on the back of like the government and the country funding second homes, because a lot of these are in fucking London, which means they're outrageously priced.
Ridiculous.
You shouldn't be able to profit on the back of
Like
that.
it'll be like a flat that's about the size of what you said.
3% of the UK
but it's a
population are
million.
millionaires, right? 92% of the House of Commons are millionaires. How fucking are they common? It's not common.
No, it's not. It's ridiculous. Like, half the front benches from Eton, for fuck's sake. Do you know what I mean? Like, one school's provided like most of the cabinet.
Yeah,
How
and
is
it,
that
and it ain't
possible?
your local school.
Yeah, it's not like, Weast Comprehensive. I know that doesn't exist,
Weast
but you know what I mean.
Comprehensive.
I know that I've made that school up before anyone gets involved in the comments. But despite feeding as well as feeding all these kids, not despite, as well as feeding all these kids, he's pretty good at scoring goals, isn't he, as well?
Yeah.
You, mate?
Not bad at it.
No?
On and off the pitch, he's doing it.
Do you know, like, everyone was like, oh, look at him. He gave Tony Marshall a penalty.
Go on.
He fucking didn't.
Go on. I knew you were going to spoil this for me. Don't, right, what is it that they say? When I want to hear the truth or the legend, print the legend,
All right,
as
okay.
John Ford says.
Yeah,
Don't spoil it,
He
Steve.
said, Tony Marshall, you take it, son. That's what he said, if you want the legend.
Right, go on then.
Do you
Go
want the
on
truth,
then.
though?
Give me the truth.
You wanted to take it?
Oh, no. Right.
Well, apparently it didn't sound
Can we edit this bit out? Can we just edit the bit where Steve told us the truth? And I know it's the truth as well, because I know who he knows. And I'm just gonna pretend that conversation never happened, and that Marcus went, "Here,
So
Tony.
Solskjaer said
I don't
before
want
the
my
game that
I don't want
Tony
my
was
first
always
professional hat trick. Just you take it and you score, because you've not scored in 10 games.
And
That's what
I'm
happened,
going to
Steve.
score a normal goal anyway. No, Solskjaer said before that Martial was going to take the penalty, so that's going to be the legend as well. Go with that.
It's not now to the point where you can't slander Marcus. You can't even say the truth about him. The truth is something you don't like.
We will protect him.
You have to pretend.
Nothing will chip the pedestal.
28-minute hat trick against fucking Leipzig.
That's
Honestly, I
ridiculous.
thought we were losing.
I celebrated that third goal like it was the winner in Munich or something. Like it was the winner against Munich. I was like going mad because I was so.
Steve
chuffed for
started
him.
grand. Steve got the mic in his hand and started doing it like the guy who does the boxing commentary,
What about
just
me?
and going on.
It was mint, and it was like you can see it in his game as well how he's progressed. You can see that, and we've been saying this since he came onto the scene. He's got other levels to reach, and he's getting there. And a lot of people have a stick to beat Marcus with, and I've never understood it. We heard it last year when the team wasn't doing well, and it was just nonsense. And we saw it not towards the end, but throughout last season, he just kept getting better, kept banging in the goals. Got his injury, come back, and now obviously he seems like he's getting back to the levels pre-injury. And
I
if
thought
not,
he
if
looked
not better.
If I had to give you a word about what he looked yesterday when he came on, he looked relaxed.
Yeah.
He just looked like at peace with everything in the world.
It's like,
Do you know?
go on.
Oh, I don't know if I can say this.
Yes, you can. And if it is anything slightly negative whatsoever,
It's not. It's fucking funny.
right, well, go on then. You can't not tell us this one.
He was just told make a nuisance of yourself when he went on.
Make a nuisance of yourself.
No,
Make a
there's
nuisance of
nothing
yourself.
more nunuisance than 3 goals, is there? Oh,
That
yeah.
bloody nuisance
Oh, yeah.
came on here and scored 3 goals against us.
Try and get a shot off. Sound.
I'll do
Is
3.
there anything he
I'll
doesn't
do 3.
excel
I'll do
do
3
you know what I
and bang
mean?
it into the net. Okay.
Like,
Cheers.
Matt Hancock tells Premier League footballers they need to do the bit, so Marcus changes the law and
Cool
feeds
story,
kids.
Tory nerd. Sit
Yeah.
down. Watch
then
this.
Ollie says you go out there and make a nuisance of yourself, and he goes and bangs an hat trick in
Hat
less
trick
than
in
half an
28
hour.
minutes.
Yeah.
Sound.
Nuisance.
That is ridiculous. It was a great performance. It was good to see him. We were talking earlier, weren't we, about his record against the.
Yes,
I know that
against
obviously Leipzig's different, but against the top 6, he's
Well, big
got
games.
Big games.
Big games.
I think
United
you mentioned it in
United
your
were
fan
the
cam,
underdogs.
didn't you? After the
It's every
game.
time. I don't know if it's because we get a little bit more space against the bigger teams because they maybe don't respect us as much as some of the smaller teams do. Maybe they also fancy their own chances.
Yeah.
Certainly that's the case with City, with Arsenal, with Liverpool.
It was the case with Leipzig last night because Leipzig,
Totally.
obviously, when we were 1 goal up, they were having to push forward and give the space in behind, which is why their line was on the halfway line for Marcus.
Yeah, I don't care. Dale Meccano ain't
care.
slow.
No.
But
he
to
ain't getting
give
anywhere near
Marcus Rashford that amount of space to run into, that was always my thing. When we were talking about Dan James, and you want to play Dan James against a team playing a low block, where's he running? His only attribute is running. Where's he running in a low block? But when you have, I mean, like last night actually might have been a good game for him in hindsight. I didn't think it was going to be a good game, but the amount of space that they left because they pushed and they were gambling was quite an incredible amount of space, and that's what we saw with was it the second goal? What's the second goal? I think, wasn't it?
The second goal where he just had acres of space.
Yeah, well they thought it was offside and he's on.
Yeah.
I know, mate. I wasn't here last night. On Wednesday night. I was watching you guys on much longer. You was all the same as me because when I had it, I was slightly ahead. I was like, he's own half. He's in his own half. And I think you were saying, yeah, so like, he's in his own half. And then everyone on social media like, how can you not realise he's in his own half? That was like obvious. But he did the right thing, though. That was the thing. Like, you just
kept
finish.
Running.
Yeah, keep running and finish. And he took his goal well, and he took his second even better. I mean, his second one was mint. He just absolutely belted it, didn't he? I love goals like that. Do you know what I mean? And the only I don't want to be negative, because it's almost impossible to be negative around Marcus, but the only negative side to it was that we weren't there to get on the pitch for the third.
Yeah,
because that's what would have happened probably.
Missed Tony Marshall's that trick.
Missed Tony Marshall, yeah.
And also the one where he missed that goal where he sat down about 3 Leipzig players, and I thought, please just stick this in, please. I will walk out and run down the street
the audacity on the dribbling of that goal.
It's like you said, though, that's a player who's relaxed. That's not a player who's nervous.
It's like, okay, so this is the best back three in Germany right now. Okay, I'll sit down him, and then I'll sit down him, and then I'll go a bit forward, and I might shoot. No, I'll sit down him as well, and then he managed to get back up. I bet
even his piss smells nice at the minute. Like, I bet there's nothing going wrong ever.
There's the title, producer Cal.
Like, do you know what? I might bang a text in a bit and just be like, tell me you fucking got a parking ticket or something. Like, just. He's moonwalking on sunshine at the moment.
He is. It's great, and I think we always knew it. I think if we're being honest, the conversation, you go back to the videos we've all spat about. It's not that we told you so, but we've always said, it potentially if he sort of stays clear of injuries.
And don't necessarily think to this level, because I think even the amount of goals he scored last season, we did that analysis didn't we, the previous summer.
Yes.
And we was like, he could actually score a lot of goals here, but United currently don't create enough chances for him to do that.
That's been a bugbear of yours, hasn't it, for a little while?
Yeah, that changed,
and now
suddenly
creative midfielders.
Mason, we got a creative midfielder in, and Mason, Tony, Marcus all increased their goal take. They actually had really good, similar sort of Aguero and Sterling sort of chance conversion. Marshall's was really good, it always is. Mason's is a fucking disgrace at how good his is. But Marcus's was around about where you'd expect it. It was better than the previous season. I think it was 8.4 shots per goal previous season. I think it was like 5.6 shots per goal, so he'd improved it.
Right. And
he'd gone from, weirdly, Cristiano level, because Cristiano was 8.4 shots per game, exactly the same as what Marcus was previous season. And he's gone to like around about Harry Kane level, actually. Right. Harry Kane wastes a lot of his because he shoots fucking dead far out.
Yeah.
But he'd gone to a similar level of Harry Kane. The difference is Kane was getting way more opportunities than Marcus, whereas now, actually, I mean, it'd be interesting to see because it's skewed from last night. He only had 4 shots and scored 3 goals. That's a bit of an anomaly. That doesn't happen often.
No.
You'd expect Marcus to be scoring about every 5th shot. You'd expect Tony about every 4.5. Mason's weird. Mason could fucking score every shot, to be honest.
It's interesting, though, because, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I remember me and you having this conversation, might have even been a couple of years ago, that Lukaku's conversion wasn't bad.
Lukaku's, I think, 4.72.
I think
like
the overall sort of overwhelming difference I'm seeing anyway between Marcus and Lukaku, especially, is Lukaku's Rashford's turning up in the big games. That was a sort of a big criticism.
Shocking, if I remember rightly as well.
Ibra.
Or was it like
fuck me?
But his shot conversion 0.13, wasn't it?
It was 12%. So how many shots is that? It's like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
People have proper rose tinted glasses with Ibra. Don't they? Like,
was it 22 shots in one game?
Like,
he missed.
I mean, I do love him, and he's such like he was a sort of player where he came in and you were like, yeah.
There's also the thing about some players are gun shy.
Yeah.
Where Ibra clearly was not gun shy. Harry Kane clearly not gun shy.
Yeah, it's like
he's taking a lot of shots, but he's maybe taking shots that other players wouldn't take.
Yeah,
so it might skew his stats a little bit because you're like, he just takes loads of chances.
It's like one of our players see the ball going over it, and it's like, oh yeah, it's like that's probably a bit too high to me. Ibrahimovic was like,
I'll get my toe on that and shoot.
Yeah, exactly. But obviously, he was great. I know he was there for a little bit longer, but that season we had him was mint.
Top scorer at Serie A at the minute.
That's mad. How old is he now?
104.
Really? Hopefully all of us.
More or less.
I saw a geezer. Where was he playing?
Japan. Is it the 51-year-old in Japan?
No, 73.
73?
Oldest professional footballer in the world.
Well, okay then, that's a thing.
Oldest professional footballer in the world.
Is he any good?
No. And you'd fuck him, wouldn't you? You'd absolutely 2-foot this shit
straight
out.
away.
Yeah.
First challenge, let him know you're there.
Let him know you're there.
Yeah.
Let him know you're there. You put him in hospital, you fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
May as well stay down there, Grandad, because that's where you'll spend the rest of this fucking
Broke
game.
me hip. Fucking right I did.
Yeah.
Imagine, like, you couldn't do that in England. Because they would be like, I'm going to fucking break that one, man.
You wouldn't even need to do it hard. You just need to I've slightly gotten late for a
Just
tackle.
shouting his ear.
The average 14-stone pisshead is going to obliterate this 5'7" frail old man. 73.
73.
How about have a fucking Bovril, sit down
what
and
position
shut the
does he
fuck
play
up.
now?
He was in midfield.
Midfield. Midfield enforcer.
Where else are you playing him? You might get away at fullback, maybe. If you centre half's like, I don't know, real first.
Is he just sitting in front of the defence?
No, he's just standing in the fucking semicircle. And let's be real.
Just got a bit lost and he's wandered onto the field of play and they'd be like, there you go.
Got that walk like they've shit himself.
Yeah.
Like, just stiffness. Like, of age, of being 73 years of age.
I thought you were going to go for like the 50-something-year-old who plays in
let me
Japan.
find it.
There's a 50-year-old who plays in Japan and he still plays at a decent level.
Yeah,
I think like
73-year-old, it sounds a bit like they're just letting him play for the sake of saying we've got the oldest player
basically.
in the world playing for us. I mean, he can't be doing anything
Let me find it.
productive.
Oldest.
It's like the reverse Freddie Adu.
Freddie Adu, he's still going Freddie Adu?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
he
he's
still like, he's only about 27?
No, I think he's like 30 now.
Right.
Yeah, I think he's in his 30s, but he's playing for like maybe like 4th tier Portuguese. I'm
Oh,
gonna
is
go
it?
with.
He did have about 30 clubs, didn't he?
Yeah, he's been going about. I think we've talked about it on a watch long or something before, where we got up all the clubs he was at, and then some of them I didn't even know like things, like let alone like I didn't even know like some football clubs had those names in like amateur level.
Where was he from, Freddie Adu?
He was from America.
Is he like American?
I think
Yeah,
he's
American.
a Ghanaian, I think.
Ghanaian, America.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not saying that you're not American if you.
Yeah, no, but I
come from a
think
different
it was
country. I mean, was he
brought through
born there?
it was brought through an American. It might have been Ghanaian, but brought
75.
75.
75. He's gone up.
T Egypt, he was in.
To Egypt.
T Egypt.
To Egypt.
Father of 4, grandfather of 6. Been playing for
Father of
69
That's
years.
a team. That's a team right
Probably
there.
went for a bit of experience.
Him in midfield. You got your
Grandkids in up front.
Well, my
on the
granddad's
wings.
78,
Yeah.
right? I'm 37. Just by simple maths, his grandkids could be in the 30s.
As I said, yeah, he could easily have a team.
So
there.
potentially, he could have great grandkids on his
So
team.
he plays for...
Pyramids. That's the only.
He lives in Rehab City.
That's probably appropriate. Probably gets his money's worth out of that.
He registered with the Egyptian Football Association as his oldest professional player. As an adult, he was a civil engineer.
He just had a whole career, and he was
Have
like,
you
you
ever
know
seen
what, I'll
that
kick
on,
around.
Netflix, the Kaiser,
I think I have seen
the
that.
Brazilian guy who couldn't play football for Toffee but managed to get lots of clubs.
Yeah, because he had
He had connections. He had a funky name. He had friends who were like at clubs.
He basically Ali did his way
Yeah.
around the world, didn't
Yeah, and he got.
Have
different
you
clubs,
seen the
and
guy that-
he did the thing where he'd like it shows you. It's a great documentary. If you've not seen it, it's called The Kaiser. I think it's on Netflix.
he? Can you get away with that now?
Well,
Newcastle have signed.
No. I think with the internet, it's a bit different. because
Newcastle
people
have
can
signed
check
a
you up.
player that's 23-year-old
Yeah, plasterer.
who's like I think he was an ex-bricklayer because he's Alan San Maximon's mate.
There's more to it than that.
I think
Like, with all the players that we've got playing for Paddock FC at the minute, there's a lot of like, can I bring my mate down? He used to play for.
yeah, but
Birmingham.
you're gonna see them, aren't you, in training and see
Yeah.
whether.
Yeah, but
they're
it's
good-
like-
any
it's a
good.
bit-
No one gets.
I think
no one's
no,
Graham
no.
Souness in me, mate.
The reason
no
he got
offense,
the
no,
reason
no,
he
yeah.
got away with it, this guy, is because he'd say he was injured, and he'd go there and he'd like, I've got a bit of a niggle, like I've got a whatever, I need some physio, and then he'd have his mate say, oh yeah, he's really good, whatever. And like there was one bit where he'd signed and he wasn't injured, so they paraded him before the game. He couldn't even do keepy uppies, he's that bad. So what he did was he got the balls and booted him into the crowd, and all the crowd were cheering. And then there was another game where he came on as a sub, and like obviously he can't play football. So as he's walked past one of the opposition players, he's chinned him, and then he told the chairman, he said something about you, and I wasn't having it. And the chairman was like, oh, well done. He just did loads of little tricks to keep himself in play.
It's like Catch Me If You Can, with Leonardo
It is, it was
DiCaprio,
good. And then he'd
but
move
for
on.
football.
Yeah, it was mad.
Anyway, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Cheers, Gaffer. Laters.
What?
No, we've had a
what
geezer
what
get in
what
touch from
legend.
Germany. Played for Schalke Academy. Big German blockhead, 6'1" geezer. And I say the same to everything. Come down training for a few weeks. We'll have a look at you, and we'll see what the script is. If you're any good, we'll sign you. Yeah. And there's a lot who come down and I go,
We were talking about this. You remember when FC started? They did loads. They sent out emails, contacted one of my mates.
I do nothing.
Brian. Yeah.
Do nothing and get about 10 emails a day.
Well, I get messages about your team.
He's taking the field of dream approach. He's like, if they build it, they will come.
Oh, they fucking come.
Yeah. Well, no, I got a message the other day about some lad who used to be at Oldham was saying, "Are you looking for players?" I need to pass on his details.
Don't bother.
Right, okay, fine.
Here's the thing, right? Unless it's like that guy. So that guy was playing professional football in Germany. He was playing at the 4th tier, so that's League 2 in Germany. And he's like, "Can I come down? I've just come over to Manchester for uni." He's 28. Like, I'm just at Manchester for uni. Yeah, I need that. I'm basically an under-23s team with a 35-year-old in it. So I was like, "Yeah, come down."
Who's the 35-year-old?
Parker, centre half.
Currently injured.
Back this week. And we haven't won since he last played.
He's the glue that holds it all
He's
together.
The talisman.
Yeah, he's the talisman.
The organiser at the back.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
no tactics, just vibes.
no tactics, just vibes.
It's not true. There's a lot of tactics, but there's a lot of vibes as well.
Yeah.
It's Stevie Howson's all out fucking have 'em Reds.
Love it.
Play a 2-0-8 formation.
This is truly twisted and turned away from Rashford when he went to a 73-year-old footballer, and then it just went somewhere from there.
It always ends up with Paddock SC with him.
Not really.
Yeah.
We could do that if you want.
I don't mind. Going back to the big games, you mentioned about Ollie, now you mentioned about Rashford. Our record against the top 6, sort of since Ollie's come in,
it gives me the hope
very
that
good.
this team and this manager can do it, because the consistency against the shit, if you like twice under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's reign, Manchester United have gone on these unbelievably consistent, unbeatable runs. Literally unbeatable. Once Bruno came in and also once Ollie came in. So the fact that we've repeated that tells me that it's within us to do it. It wasn't new manager bounce. It wasn't new player bounce. It's not a thing. That was literally the stars aligned for us. And they aligned for us twice, which means that that's repeatable. We can get to the same point. Now, what we saw against Leipzig this week was he shuffled his deck. He went, Bruno, have a night off. Marcus, have a night off. Cavani, take a seat, son. And that's what my old man was saying when I was chatting to him this morning. He was saying, having a look at the bench and what you're able to bring on. When it's tight, it's 1-0 in a game. You bring on Bruno, Marcus Rashford and Cavani. Ooh.
Do you remember...
Should I tell you what?
It's like Watford, sorry, just quickly before you come in. Bournemouth, sorry. Remember when he got beat off Bournemouth? Josh King.
Yeah.
And who'd you bring on? Yeah. Jesse was out of form.
And you're looking at the bench.
Yeah,
we said it a few times. Looking at the bench and going, fuck's sake.
Like, it was, Pereira for Jesse was the tactic. Yeah. And it made no difference. Yeah. We lost one.
I was saying, based off last night, a combination I would have liked to have seen on the pitch, but
Wednesday night.
On Wednesday night, yeah. Sorry. You confused me now, Jay. Was Martial and Cavani, because Martial was doing all these runs and playing it into the box, and he was playing it into, obviously, Greenwood, who I think prefers to obviously have it more on the ball and shoot and stuff like that, and he was playing it just behind him. But imagine if you had that sort
Hang on, can I just stop you there? Yeah. Martial needs to sort that out, because he does that to everybody.
Yeah.
He plays it behind him.
But you could imagine that.
He doesn't anticipate the run, ever. Yeah. And he honestly really needs to fix that game up. Like, yeah, they might have had as many fucking assists as York and Cole, but they'd have double that if he could fucking pass it.
But properly. Could you imagine that to Cavani, who would probably be like, okay, he keeps playing it behind me. Like, after the first chance, he'd be like, all right, I'm just going to take one step less, because that's the sort of Cavani used to have it with. I can't remember who was on the wing. I think it was like back when Jeremy Menez got like 20 odd assists. He was just kept like passing it in at random angles, and Cavani was like, okay, so that's what he's trying today. So he would just adjust his run and just get on the end of it. So I would have loved to have seen that last night. I mean, obviously now we saw a hat-trick from Marcus Rashford, so that's fine.
But not too bad, is it? Not
too
shabby.
Bad. A nice substitute for what I actually wanted. No, but I'd like to see that in another game, because obviously now we have different strike combinations, we have different midfield combinations. It's a lot.
Cavani's something totally different that we don't have in terms of a striker as well, and that's what excites me, is going forward I can see different ways of playing for us, and Ollie sort of touched on it himself, I think, yesterday, where he said, there's options now, and what you've got is the ability to glide into this or that, and it's easy. Like when you come up against a certain team, I did it a couple of years ago when I was doing my analysis, pre-game analysis. I was looking at it, I'd watched Everton under Koeman, and I was like, looking at what they were strong at, looking at what they were weak at, and I went, I think they're going to play this formation. I think it was a 4-5-1 with Rooney in a 9. And they'd never played that formation or this 11. And I got it fucking bang on. And you're like, sometimes opposition give you tells about how you think they're going to line up. And you almost go, what am I doing if I'm fucking Koeman in this situation? I'm looking at United's strengths, I'm looking at my strengths, I'm looking at what I've got to play. And for me, it was the most obvious thing ever to play a certain team and a certain formation, which he ended up doing. I think United ended up winning the game still. But it's always good to be able to go, I don't fucking know what Ollie's going to do. Like, I had an idea what I thought Nagelsmann was going to do, and he didn't. Because Nagelsmann's got 5 things he can do. And he might play all 5 of them in one game. Now, coming into these big games for United, I didn't think the diamond would work. And at times, it didn't work. We saw... didn't really see it down our left too much, but down our right-hand side, we did see Wan-Bissaka getting 2v1'd a few times. And luckily, because he's Superman, he can deal with it. But he got away with it. It wasn't like we just dealt with it. It was... We kind of got away with it a little bit, and they did do what I anticipated they would do. And the reason why I wanted to see a back 3, back 5 from us was because we needed that extra reliance. And there was, they didn't outplay us, unlike what ESPN was saying. I thought it was a very even game up until half time. But there was times when one of the things I'd noticed that Leipzig do really well is Poulsen engages the centre half. Do you remember? You should do Zamorano backing into Stam, and Stam just looking at him like, "Fuck you doing?
What are you doing?"
But one of the things that he does in that situation is he gets physical with a centre half, because then he's engaged the centre half, and the centre half's thinking about what I'm going to do with this guy now, because he's made contact with him. Poulsen was making contact and being a bit rough with Harry Maguire, and Harry Maguire was being rough with him back. But what it did was it engaged and trapped Harry Maguire. And then what Poulsen was doing was dragging him out of position. Now, what Leipzig usually do well is one of those midfielders, Nkunku or Sabitzer or someone, would fire into the middle where Harry Maguire has been dragged out of position, and they would exploit that. They moved Harry Maguire out, but they never came through the gap. But they were doing things that should have created, and I think it was a little bit of luck and a little bit of hard work, which is why they didn't. But the things that they're dangerous at, they still did. We just got away with it. Now, I wouldn't have said they outplayed us like them dicks on ESPN did, but they did give us a tough time, and
Those
we were.
Paid
It was. We also caused our own problems at the other end, because they're like Manchester City, because they have such a fucking high line. We identified that before the game, as we saw with Marcus's goal. They do play a high line, and one of the most vulnerable things with a high line is pace in behind your high line is going to be a nightmare for you to deal with. That proved to be the case. But there was also other things that United did really well in that. And one of the most key things that I'm pleased about take forward from this game is the next time we play Manchester City, what if we went with a diamond instead of the 3 at the back? Maybe you trust that. Maybe he doesn't trust that. Maybe he sees the things I saw after it and went, fucking hell, maybe we rolled out.
How far are levels between Leipzig and Manchester City? I'm not going to say we're going to beat Manchester City 5-0, but
no, player for player,
are they miles away?
Yeah. Player for player,
player for player, City better. They also have the intangibles that you have of De Bruyne's passing can absolutely rip apart.
Leipzig don't have anyone.
Even the most organised defence, De Bruyne can rip apart. Mahrez can rip apart. Even the most organised like centre back.
I would think player for player, Leipzig's defence is better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you make of that? Just quickly before we move on from the game, because obviously it was 2 days ago. Like, we were all joking. Lots of people. I think you might have done it on social media. Or someone was doing the joke about, go and get me. Was it you that did the tweet about go and get me? Knock a few quid off his price tag, which is
Upamecano.
Yeah. Some people going, oh well, you know how people like to be melodramatic and have literally watched him once and then made a decision that because they conceded 5 goals, he's not all he's cracked up to be. I mean, do you look into that game in terms of United still being in for Upamecano at all, or is it just one of those where you go,
one of the clips they show for Upamecano, and it's Rashford beating him and he's knocking it about. Rashford's really lucky that the ball ends up back at his feet, because it basically, Upamecano somehow gets his foot in, it bounces up, hits Rashford's shin, bounces back down, and he catches it on his foot and goes. And it's literally like, it's just how it's rebounded in that moment. Upamecano out of nowhere has literally just stuck a leg out and nearly stopped an attack. He's a very good defender. He's very physical, but the fact is his intelligence on the game is very good. He knows how to position, especially in that 3 at the back, where he knows that if Kanate or Howson, who are naturally either have played in the past or are naturally fullbacks, go and have a bit of a roam, he knows exactly where he needs to be, that if they get beaten, he can just come in. And he's very in some ways, he's like Van Dijk. When people say, oh, Van Dijk's a good defender, he is a good defender, but that's not a point. Is that the system is he waits for someone else to go and make a tackle, and then he goes and stands in the position he knows he's going to knock it into. And Upamecano does that very well. And he also has very good aerials and all that sort of stuff that makes a great centre-back.
Why do you think it went wrong from then on Wednesday night?
I feel like it was just... It's one of those things that when it got later in the game, they were trying to push forward, and they went naturally. What they were going to do is just going to try and push forward, because the wing backs push forward, and that means they have to then push forward to meet them. And it just allowed for a lot of spacing behind. And like Steve said, it's like you can be as fast as anything, but you don't give Marcus Rashford a full half to run into. Like,
not with a run up. He had a run up. It wasn't a standing start.
His control was great though. His first touch on that run was mint.
But then,
just perfect.
And then when they said they stopped defending, but also what happened just later in the game, and we got more confident and we got more and more goals, is we started throwing, like, Fred and Pogba were like, oh, okay, we're playing the two sitting midfielders, but why don't we go up? And then obviously you had
Fred was fantastic.
Exactly. You had about 5v5, and then Matic was McTominay came on and he started pushing forward, and you're like, well, it's just, we know we're going to win, so we're like, oh, we'll just score as many as possible. And they're like, well, we've already lost, so we just don't need to actually put as much effort in.
The first goal, I think it was unfortunate. Brilliant timing of the run. Brilliant first touch.
That's like a second off being offside. Like a split second off being offside.
And Mason Greenwood's finishing.
It's not even half chances sometimes, is it? It's like, you know.
No,
what
it's
I mean?
4% chances.
Yeah,
The expected goals of his chances. I think, was it last season, or it might even be current this season and last season. He should have scored 6, and he scored 16. And expected goals pretty bang on, isn't it? Like, Marcus and Tony Marshall, they're within maybe a goal, maybe half a goal, maybe a quarter of a goal.
Well, I think you showed me there was a shot that that Greenwood had. There was like a couple of shots where they were like 0.03 or 0.2 or something.
He's got about 3 or 4, 0.04.
Because there's like 4 defenders in the way.
That's a 3 and 4% chance shot. That means 100 shots, 4 go in. And he's got 3 or 4 of them. Well, that's why his expected goals is just wild. He's the second best in terms of outstripping his expected goals in Europe. Only Immobille's got a better one than him. But he shoots at weird cadences. He shoots at weird angles. But the finish against Leipzig, it was laser perfect.
It was.
It was like, I'm just going to put this... And I know he works with Colin Little on working to finish those in those spots. Right inside the cheek of the goal, just inside the fucking post. That is textbook. That's where you fucking put it. It was immense.
Yeah.
It was absolutely immense. It was perfect. And at 19, he gets himself in these positions. What's he going to be like with an extra 5 years and maybe 150 games under his belt? When he's got a little bit more now. So he knows when the centre-half starts pulling my arm like that, I can maybe lean back off it. Those little things that no one really teaches him. Maybe Cavani's going to be good to follow for that. If that's what sort of learner he is. I don't know what sort of learner Mason is. Because everyone just goes, he's a fucking freak. No one really says, like, do you know about Marcus? You go, he works hard.
Yeah.
Mason's a fucking freak. You don't hear, he might, I don't know that he doesn't, but you don't hear of it. You hear of Ronaldo doing
it's not quite Ronaldo where it's like, oh, he was there at 4. It's like Tevez. I think it was Tevez who made the story. It was like, he came to training one day and Ronaldo was already there and he just come in.
Like every time he's here.
And he was like, Tevez was like, I'll come 2 hours earlier and then I can look like the big guy. And he went in and he was like,
Ronaldo was in there.
Ronaldo was just there doing free kicks. I'm like, how do I do this? Like, how do I make out that?
Yeah, I don't hear of Mason doing extra training. I don't know if he does or not. To top and bottom of it, I have no idea if he does. I know the likes of Laird and some of the other lads. I know that they're doing extra stuff. They're working with one-on-one coaches, and I know some of the other first team players. Obviously, not Bruno and Fred and that, but there are other first team players that are doing some one-to-one stuff, less behind the scenes. And I just don't hear about it, Mason. All everyone says is, "This guy's a fucking freak." What you do hear about Mason, and fuck it, was public knowledge, wasn't it? Like, he was going to those like illegal lockdown games and playing 11 aside, like a power league. Just turn up. Can you imagine turning up like that? Is that Mason Greenwood?
But it's like
he's just scored from 30 yards.
You'd be surprised. I used to work at a power league, and you'd be surprised at how many players do stuff like that. Like, they weren't allowed in the leagues, like professional footballers. You're not allowed to play in the leagues. Like, now and again they would do. Like, Ravel did it. He did it when he was injured.
My mate Phil did it.
Yeah.
He was playing for Everton at the time.
Yeah.
And we'd bring him on, and it was like having original Ronaldo in your team. It'd go from 0-0 to 8-1.
Yeah.
But it was like,
that's like Ravel came on against our kids' team. Funnily enough, he was hobbling because he just had a groin operation, and he literally did like a triple nutmeg and scored. And like our kid and his players didn't mind the fact that he was playing because it's the chance to play against
see how far away you are.
You remember, and you can one for the grandkids. I played against Ronaldo Morrison, but he was he just he just took the piss. But I seen. I mean, Balotelli turned up once. Back in the day, you used to have the likes of Fraser Campbell. And people aren't turn up, not necessarily to play in the league, but just to play. Do you know what I mean? And
so when I went out to London, obviously, one of my friends worked there, and they literally just rang us up and went, "Oh, we're just down at the Power League." It's like, yeah. Alex Iwobi, Ashley Maitland-Niles and Michael Obafemi along with a load of their mates and just some other non-league players are just randomly just having a kick around. I went, all right, I'll come and have a look. And it was like that. Alex Iwobi was terrible. I remember, I think it was, I can't remember which player it was, but someone just literally, he tried to do a skill, he messed it up and someone turned to him and went, you're a Premier League standard football player and that's the best you can do.
There's a night at Power League in Manchester where there's basically a professional game goes on for a couple of hours.
You've told me about this, yeah.
It'll blow your mind, yeah. There's like, where's he come from? Lille. What?
Sorry?
Where's he from? Sporting Lisbon. You're like, who are these lot? Just a random Portuguese team turn up. You're like, where the fuck have they come from? Like, Portugal. Shut up, you dickhead. I mean, where have they actually come from?
That's
and
sick.
It's just like, it's self-policed, it's self-refed, and he plays for City, he plays for Burnley, and they're wearing their training kit when they're playing it. Yeah, and I've gone and watched them and just been like, they play 11-a-side on a 7-a-side pitch.
Really?
It's tight. It's prison rules. There ain't no fucking running in behind there. You got to beat a man.
The 75-year-old would not survive.
Yeah, sounds brutal. I might have to. Hopefully, I'm in the pits
good
quite
fun
a lot now
watching.
Recently.
Our friend, little Ronaldo, plays in them.
Does it? Give me a heads up. So what day it is? I might have to have a butcher's look. You mentioned earlier about, we were talking about the fact that when Marcus scored, the downside was there was no fans there. Well, we weren't there.
Can you imagine the vibe that you'd have had in there last night? Oh my fucking God.
It'd been amazing. It felt unreal. There was this talk one there of 23,500 fans going back into OT.
Well, did you see the actual statement from United?
No, go on. I did, but I've forgotten.
It was
remind me.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
It was the shortest statement. I wonder if it's on the page still. Let me just find it because it needs reading out.
While you look for that, go on, Case.
So I remember when Ed Woodward did the whole thing about the finances. He was like, well, we're trying to get fans back in, and we had the conversation with the government and the Premier League, and they weren't communicating the best. It's like, we had to have 23,000 against Crystal Palace, and I was like, Crystal Palace was a while ago now, and we haven't heard anything about this since. But I'm guessing, obviously, the statement's kind of carrying on from that.
Yeah, I mean, there was talk one, like you say, Crystal Palace.
But it was the West Ham one was the one that baffled me the most. Did you hear about what West Ham did? Because obviously West Ham couldn't have fans in their ground. They showed it in the cinema down the road, and fans could go to the cinema to watch it.
I don't understand how it's in the indoor versus outdoor thing. I thought was pretty.
But that's
clear,
that's not like a bad idea. I think in terms of the fans getting fans, if you're allowed to do it.
But then you put in the argument of how many fans are in there indoors watching a screen, and like, couldn't you just have them outdoors?
No, I get you can have the fans. My point is, like, for the West Ham fans, I don't blame them doing that and going to that, because
I don't know.
You want to meet all your mates. You want to meet all your mates. You want to watch the game. You know, even if you have to do it like that, at least it's better than nothing for a lot of people. Because
my bad.
Go on.
Right. I thought the statement was these 3 paragraphs.
It's not.
It's not. It's a lot, babe.
United has declared its readiness to welcome back fans to Old Trafford as soon as the UK government gives the green light. No fans have been allowed since the victory against City. And then plans for the stadium to be reopened in October were postponed, leaving fans of all clubs uncertain when they were next going to be able to cheer their fans from the stand. I was like, what a fucking weird statement that is.
Right.
I thought that was it.
You forgot to turn
right, because then there's another. Then there's a picture of a picture of another article there, and I thought that was the next article.
Ah, right.
But it's not. It's just a link for another article. Then there's more to the quote.
What are they saying?
I don't know. I've not read it yet.
Right. Okay. It doesn't make great viewing.
So back to West Ham
for you to sit there watching that. But the short and long of it is, at the minute, there's no fans in the ground, and the 23,500 thing. I believe it's not been confirmed. It's not happening yet. We haven't got a date for it. What I was going to ask is, are you up for that? Do you think that's better than nothing? Would you want to go? Would you want to put your name in a hat?
Yeah.
You're a season ticket holder.
Fucking course I would. But it's going to be shit. You got to know this going in. It's going to be well shit.
Yeah. Because
what's the best things about the game? Getting fucking jumped on and having your neck fucked by a fucking stranger 100%. when you score. Not like you won't even be this close.
No.
Hey, you score, you're like, hey.
Steve.
I said, yeah.
Steve. See that goal then? Good one, wasn't it?
What? Goal.
Not
yeah.
you. Him. Get him.
Just wave down the line.
It's like the end of
Mexican
Crocodile
wave, and you just
Dundee.
have to wait like 5 seconds, then the next guy goes.
Someone goes, right, don't fucking start that in here.
Also, it'd take a long time to get everyone in with these staggered entrances and all that.
Oh,
It's
mate, you'd be there
testing
at
on
12 p.m. for
yeah,
a fucking 8 o'clock
getting everyone
kickoff.
like 1,000
Please
people.
arrive at 2 in the afternoon. How about fuck you? How about that?
It does sound. It sounds like it's fun. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know anything.
I'd do it. I reckon there'd be a lot go, I ain't doing that again.
Yeah, I mean, I get the idea, and I speak to a lot of lads who go to the games, and we all do, and it's like everyone's dying to get back in there. I just think when you've got a 75,000 seat stadium and there's only a third capacity, it's not going to be the same. I know people we know that, but at least we're in the ground. It's just going to be very weird. Just the issue is a lot of the time, even when you're watching the games on the telly, they just look like training games because there's no crowd there at all. I mean, that fucking pre-recorded crowd thing is awful. You know what I mean?
I want to be the guy that's sitting there pushing a button.
Yeah, they just cheer when it hits the side net and it just cuts.
Like, they try and do it.
I'd love to be with the guys because he's probably got a big fucking logic board in front of him like that, just pressing all the different things. And I bet there's one for goal and there's one for a miss where it goes ooh. And I bet they've hit the ooh one sometimes. Oh fuck.
Ooh hey, ooh hey.
Someone listening on telly is like, you dick.
I was chatting to someone about this last night because, I mean, people say, well, everyone's not got grounds and everyone's not got crowds, so it affects everyone the same, but it doesn't, does it? No. Let's have it right. We've all done games, and there's certain teams that don't suffer that much from this, and there's other teams that do, and I think United do suffer, and I think the two reasons why United suffer, I think our away support is outstanding, and I think lots of people, I've even had City fans admitting that. I know City's different, it's a derby, but, our away support is fantastic. And then at home, I think, whilst we've always had this reputation of, Trafford is like a library, recently it's got a lot better. And I think, the last game, case in point, place was pumping when we had fans in there. So I think it does hurt us a little bit more.
Said I got jumped and someone did my neck in because I had a McTominay shirt on, and as soon as that goal went in, everyone
went, McTominay! This is what I mean.
Rashford's goal against City a couple of years ago, one of the lads called Joe that sits next to us, he jumped on my neck. I had to go on physio. Neck was fucked.
Really?
My neck was fucked, and then the pain sort of travelled all the way down my arm. It took about 2 months to get right. Not bad. He literally dived on me.
Really?
He dived on me from this side, came round me, and went down the road before me, but holding my neck.
Yeah.
What's the worst? Is that the worst injury you picked up at football celebrating a game?
Oh, no, I had a seat stick in my shin.
Oh, fuck off. Really?
Yeah, so that's a scar. Makeda's goal.
Oh, against Villa?
Yeah.
Really?
I ended up in the fucking ocean, I think.
Looking
gone.
Looking back at that game now, it's like, at the time, it was like probably a fantastic goal. Back then, you're like, looking at it now, you're like, really? McKay did a goal?
No, mate, that was...
Mate, we was going to fuck the title up.
To the Scousers.
Yeah.
That was us going to 19 or them going to 19. So it was like, oh no, it was us, or was it us going? I can't remember. It was seminal anyway.
There's so many of those moments.
It might have been us going to 18 actually.
So many of those moments like that where we've just ended up in another fucking time zone with, like, even though you're in seats, it's just gone off.
Limbs
and you've just
all
woke
over
up and
again.
gone like, am I in South Stand?
It's quality, innit? I love that.
How the fuck have I got here?
I remember when I was a kid, mate, I went to Wembley for the semi-final. I was only 14. And when Mark Hughes scored his equaliser, the guy next to me...
Oldham?
Yeah.
How's that?
That's mint, that one. And I came out of it. I didn't even notice how bad it was because I was celebrating. And I was with my dad, funnily enough. And because we weren't sat together, but there was a seat next to him and I went and sat with him. And I had blood all over me because the guy squashed my head. And my nose.
Oh, I have had nosebleeds of my dad grabbing me.
Yeah, and I didn't even notice that. The adrenaline was going. Still one of my favourite goals, that. But yeah, it's one of them, and we'd love to get back to that. Hopefully. Limbs,
Jay.
Limbs. That's what we want to see, innit? Do you know what I mean?
Just fine.
Falling over, just...
What is this no tactic, just vibes thing? Is this you lot have created this?
I don't think so.
Right.
I might have done. I don't think so.
I
don't think so.
I think there was a thing.
What was going on Wednesday night?
On Twitter was when he was like, we were just playing a random team, and I think we just were throwing people on in any place whatsoever, and we was like, we'll need a goal, Igalo, and then there's like someone just put on Twitter like, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, no tactics, just vibes.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Right,
because I've not seen it. I didn't know where it came from. I think I saw you lot tweeting about it or saying it on the watch along, and I wasn't sure whether you guys had just come up with it or it was actually a thing. But no, obviously it is. It's something that kind of fits at times. Do you know what I mean?
It's also utter bollocks because he's a really tactically astute manager, which is what makes it doubly funny, I think. But people will... Right, that's going to flip in about 3 months, right? No tactics, just vibes will be an insult. Without a shadow of a doubt.
Well, people, I mean, even after a win...
I mean, people were commenting on my review last night because I called my review "No Tactics, Just Vibes."
Yeah,
and people was like, "But it was tactics." I was like, "It's a joke, bro."
I am poking fun at the situation. It is a joke.
I hate how seriously a lot of people take everything. It's football.
It can be very draining. Sometimes I give people the benefit of the doubt as well because I think if English isn't your first language, you won't understand sarcasm or you might not understand it. But a lot of the time, it's just people being thick. It's just people just angry, being outraged, and they want to be angry, and they're just a bit stupid. So they'll start arguing over a point you're not even making, and it's just like, dude.
It's like sometimes you put it down. Like I put a tweet out, and it's like, oh, Nagelsmann tactical masterclass, and I was like, I'm obviously joking because he's just lost 5-0, and you could just see like sometimes in the comments, people's brains whirling, and like in text, I can get it, but given context, like your video of obviously being like, first reason. United are really tactically astute, and like you just put no tactics, just vibes. Like obviously you're making a joke.
I know you and McCullough spoke about Arsenal, so I don't want to go on too much about it. Just quickly, because a lot of people will be watching this Arsenal game's coming up. Fancy that one?
Not sure. They've hit a real run of form of late, Arsenal. I think they've almost fell into Arteta being an evolution of what Wenger was doing. Nothing like the managers they've had since. But really fell into the sort of nice football, no backbone kind of thing, which Wenger was kind of famous for, which Arteta was a part of.
Yeah.
Where I think that you have to win ugly sometimes. And I'm not sure that Arteta's got that in his mixer. I think they're playing really good stuff, and I think they could be dangerous, and they could fucking do us.
It's weird, don't it? Because they've only lost 3 league games already.
Yeah,
Leicester, City, and is it the Scousers or someone? I can't remember the other one.
Yeah, but
problem.
I'm not. I get where you're coming from because I think they've lost 3 games to teams other than Leicester, who you'd expect them to.
There's a definite problem in their team. The fact is that they don't seem to have anyone who creates, which is the problem that I thought United had for quite a long time. He's fixed the 2 CMs. He's managed to make Granit Xhaka actually look like a footballer, and Dani Ceballos actually looked like he was worth loaning from Real Madrid. And those 2 have been playing quite well. And defence looks like it has some structure when you add in like Kieran Tierney, like Gabriel, and even David Luiz to some extent doesn't look awful, but that might be because of the back 3. But then you look at, like, obviously Bukayo Saka is good, but there's just no creative void. And that also leads to the Arsenal argument of the argument that we've seen with United fans of Ozil would fix it in a heartbeat, which is always the argument of the best player who doesn't play.
He's always going to be a saviour, but it's not. It's not
doesn't help in this situation.
With Ozil,
Ozil offers nothing defensively.
Ozil's a lot of the thing about Marshall. When you look at him on the ball, you go, "Fuck me, is he the best player in the world?"
Yeah.
But there's more to football. You're without the ball for about 95% of your time on the pitch. So what you do off the ball, for me, maybe it doesn't outweigh what you do on the ball because your time on the ball is your chance to impact the game directly. But your chance off the ball is unbelievably important, and that's where teamwork comes in. And maybe that's why players like Jesse Lingard are not understood, and why they're so highly valued. Michael Carrick, Jesse Lingard, players like that, they're highly valued by coaches, undervalued by fans. And maybe that's where Marshall and Ozil and some players like that, where you go, they're fucking unbelievable, and they are. But are they doing enough off the ball to justify their place?
The fact is, Arsenal fans seem to forget where Ozil was when they last left off, if so to speak. Like, Ozil obviously has never been a player. He's that traditional number 10. He's always creative. He's never really come back in the sort of you see with Fernandes and with some of the other number 10s, like De Bruyne plays a bit deeper, but he is the sort of number 10.
Work rate.
The work rate and the getting back and getting into people is really important. And I think throughout Ozil's career, he's never shown that work rate. But when Arsenal fans were berating him and saying he shouldn't play again, it wasn't the fact of he would disappear for 89 minutes a game. But if he got the ball 3 times, you were like, 3 times he's going to put someone through on goal and they might score. And that's how Arsenal used to work. But now it's like he was doing that once a game, if that, and people were
And
just
that's your
like, why
decision
is
as a
there?
coach. You go, is it worth me for that one moment of magic where I'm going to be frustrated at his tactical indiscipline, the fact that he's not holding the shape that I want outside, when we don't have the ball, he doesn't press in the right areas, he doesn't track a man, he's not doing what he's supposed to be at a fucking corner. All of those things can win and lose your football games. But too many people focus on that match of the day element where they'd go, look at this little bit of fucking skill he did here in a minute.
Yeah.
And not actually see that there's 89 other minutes in a match where he's tossing it off and annoying you. And that's something I'm learning with, obviously, with coaching Paddock FC. I've got some fantastic players that go, not fucking working hard enough off the ball. And that's what you've got to do.
Yeah.
That's where I'm seeing some issues that we've got. It's helping me understand.
I don't want to keep going on about Paddock FC, but go on, we'll hume you for once. It's my fault, this one.
Jay,
do you look at when you, because you obviously do your coaching and all that stuff, and I know you sort of heavily involved. Has it started changing the way you watch games?
Yeah.
Yeah. How so?
I understand the reluctance to make subs.
Yeah.
Big time.
You see, you can sort of.
Yeah. I also I'll make subs at half time pretty often, actually. If something's not working, I'll be like, you fucking get off.
It's horrible, that, isn't it? Getting subbed at half time.
I mean, it could be worse. You get sub like that Skrukic guy for Leeds the other week where he got a yellow card.
So when Jose at Chelsea used to do double substitutions after 20 minutes.
But if he's not working, fine.
He'd be like, no, I'm not, this isn't happening.
Yeah.
Change. And I'd be like, that's got to be sold this shit.
It's minging, but like if the players are on board with him, it's not an issue, is it? No, it's subs is one thing. Understanding the impact that you can have as a coach if people just don't do what they're fucking told to do. If people aren't checking the shoulders, if people aren't picking runs up into the box, if people miss shots, like you can only set them up to do something. And there's some things where I've gone, Joe, that's on me, that one.
Yeah.
And it's something, I mean, I put a little bit of weekend's loss on myself. We got it back to 2-2. Well, I don't want to draw games. I want to win games. So we're having it. I don't care. I don't give a fuck how good the opposition are. I back my lads to go score against anybody. Yeah. And we didn't. We conceded and we lost 3-2. We came up against a good opposition. But I'll not change how I want to play. I want to fucking win games. So we're always going to fucking twist. And the game I was isolating, I wanted us to twist more. We made like-for-like subs. I had to fucking took 2 defenders off and had it. Like the opposition was offering us nothing. It was just a big goalkeeper punt. Why we got 4 defenders on the pitch? Fuck that. Let's go. There are things. They're pretty superficial things, but there's little things that I'm noticing that you're never going to get everything your own way, and I think that's one of the hardest things for people to understand. Why can't we have a clean sheet and score 5 every week?
Yeah,
because you're playing against 11 other fucking professionals who are pretty good at what they do. And they've come up with plans to try and stop you what you're doing and exploit your obvious weaknesses. And that happens at every fucking stage of it. So understanding that, do you know what? If we do this, it's going to limit us here. Or if we do that, it's going to expose us here. And I think understanding that there's a yin and yang to games and that there's 2 teams involved in a game of football. And that sometimes the most... Paddock FC have lost games to a goalkeeper punt.
Yeah.
And the guy can just kick it 80 yard. And we've gone, how the fuck are we dealing with this?
Yeah.
We will play you off the park. We look like fucking prime Barcelona sometimes. For this level, we do one-touch football. Like, look,
I'm guessing you meant for that level, not like literally.
Yeah. We're talking about
yeah, off camera.
Off camera. Don't worry, camera clips
we do some fantastic one-touch football. On the 3G that we played at this weekend, there was about 3 or 4 instances where we had like 8-9 one-touch stuff. A little bit outside the box, so it wasn't quite having a final ball on it. But then we're getting undone by just someone just going, boom.
It's thing, managers say that, don't they? And commentators say it sometimes. There's certain things you can't legislate for. If a goalkeeper makes a blunder or whatever, you can't legislate for that. If there's a
Have you seen the goals from weekend?
Of your lads, yeah.
The opposition goalkeeper basically threw it back to Nosa from a long kick, and we scored off it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't fucking work on that.
No, it's not. You can't, can you? Do you know what I mean? It's like it's one of those things. But no, it's interesting because I was chatting to one of the coaches at my last team, and he's a big red. And he was saying like, he just got into coaching, and once you get into it, takes over your mind almost because you're always thinking about that.
Oh, especially we get the video as well.
Yeah.
So I watch it. I watch the video again, usually with obviously the sound doesn't really matter anyway. There's no comms on it on Sunday. So I'll watch it again on a Sunday. And then on Monday, I'll go through it, watching it with a notepad, and I'll make my notes, and I'll get really mad at Cam. That's unfair, actually. Cam was pretty good this week.
Yeah, let's not be too harsh on Cam Waters.
I was saying the one last thing on the Arsenal point is that I've seen, this is more as well in a way to help Arsenal fans and stuff. I've seen United.
Fuck Arsenal fans.
Helping Arsenal fans.
Everybody's right, and it's to try and think. United fans have spent so long beating themselves up over players that can't play or don't play for us anymore, and it's just constantly that. And you see it, and you've seen it even recently with Donny van der Beek. He's on the bench and he's not come on, and everyone's been like, he would have changed the game, he would have done that.
Didn't he look fucked though after about an hour yesterday?
Yeah, and that's the thing. But then the fact is let me put it this way with Arsenal fans: understand, Özil is not registered for the Premier League nor the Europa League. He is never going to play for you again, probably, because his contract runs out next summer.
Unless they can register him again in January.
You'll be a lot happier if you just like the players that you're playing with right now, because you have Aubameyang, you have Lacazette, you have all of Thomas Partey. Now it's like...
Can we register him as Paddock FC?
Technically, I don't see why not.
But yeah.
But that's never going to happen.
I'm saying that...
No.
Can we throw an email out?
You can throw an email out.
It's a gem. I mean, he's
spent more than
on
3 seconds thinking about it.
He's on
350k a week, Steve.
Like, applying for a managerial job in the Premier League, you can send the email. Whether you get
never going to see the light of day.
Whether you get the response you want.
If it was an Arsenal, fucking supporting team that he could go play for.
That'd be funny.
That'd be good. Like at our level, like level 15.
That would be good PR for him as well. Yeah. Like, that would get all them fickle fucking goonies right on board.
But that same to all players, it's like the realms of happiness is like you can. It makes you unhappy when you start going on about players who could have played and not played, like who actually can play the football. Don't go on about people who like left 5 years ago or not even registered for a team, because you're just going to drive yourself nuts with that. Basically, the point of that.
Wally of the week, quickly. You be thinking of yours while he's thinking.
I'm thinking now, yeah.
Anyone that fucking replied to anything tweeted by Marcus with a fucking shopping list for 38p.
Yeah, can we get this trending? Shopping list wankers. Yeah? Hashtag shopping list wankers, because I'm with you. I'm sick of seeing it. I'm sick of seeing people, and it's a lot of it's men as well, like, with these like, I've fed my kids for a week on 12p. Well, you haven't though, have you? You haven't. You haven't bought the electric and the gas for that. You haven't bought a packet of spuds for 12p because you don't sell them for that cheap. You haven't bought 1 carrot. Well, you might have bought 1 carrot. You haven't bought like 1 serving of beans or whatever. Stop talking rubbish. It's just so annoying. And just get on board with it. And you know what? This is like a good rule in general for Twitter or for social media. If you see something that doesn't affect you, but you don't really like it, you don't have to attack the person that's doing it.
Yeah, you do.
No, you don't.
Yeah, you do.
If it doesn't affect you, you don't.
Sure
the two.
Pretty sure it's in the terms and conditions of Twitter.
This is Jay Martin, the guy who pits arguments with.
No, I don't know. People pick arguments with me, and I reply to them.
Now you're arguing.
Exactly. People pick arguments with me, and they're fucking wrong, and then they admit it, and then we move on. Go on, who's your Wally of the week?
I'll go with Julian Nagelsmann, not for the actual result,
God, he's so fucking...
but I'll go for him turning.
Being attacked in a group chat here.
What for?
Cam says, Amazon Prime have just tweeted, what's the worst football opinion you've ever heard? And he's put, can't even tweet ours, can we?
He's got a point. And I'll say this, and this is probably the only time I'm ever going to say it. I agree with Cam.
Julian Nagelsmann for turning up in a blazer that looked like he was at the cousin's wedding he didn't really like.
He looked like Paul Inson and Captain's Log, didn't he?
Yeah.
Hey, didn't he? Just look all maybe.
What was it? You showed me the one. It was Nicholas Lyndhurst, Rodney in Only Fools and Horses.
Oh, yeah.
Where he turns up in that blazer and just nothing else.
It was bad. No, they're both good choices, but I'll go with yours, Steve, because it's been annoying me a little bit, that.
Shopping list wankers.
Yeah. You've got a video out that's banging, haven't you?
Do you have a look what it's doing now? I mean, by the time this
people might want to relive the glory.
Yeah, do it.
What's it called and what's it about?
5 things we learned.
Where's
after every game.
Where is it?
On Steve's channel.
It's on his channel.
Search my name.
If you force yourself not to just watch Stretford Paddock, you can watch his channel. We'll allow you. We'll forgive
it's affiliated.
Yeah,
it's like
affiliated
club.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's all part of the same circle, sort of. Casey, where can people find you?
At Casey_Evans_ on Twitter and CMEvans198 on Instagram. That's basically it.
There you go. You'll know where you can find me.
Yeah, don't tweet one on the other because there's random chicks that are called Casey Evans. on the other one with the different
Really?
usernames. Yeah, because we kept tagging the wrong one in.
Oh, you get,
That was on
you get very
Instagram.
disappointed
That
then
was
if
on
you go,
Instagram on the
you're
Twitter.
trying to chat
That
with the Casey Evans.
that account has not been used in 7
Hey.
years. I want that hashtag. I
And
want
then
that
you
app
end
on Instagram.
with him. You know where to find him. He's here. He's there. He's every fucking where. We need to get Chucky on actually.
We do.
We do.
What's
Now,
he doing the
that's
knobhead?
my new thing. We've got a good guest on Monday, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah. On Howson's Brew.
It's an unemployed man.
Yeah.
Fucking is.
Hence the reason we're able to he's got
Hence
some
he's
spare
got
He's the
time.
time.
busiest
Time on a
unemployed
Monday.
man ever.
Mate, you cannot walk down the street with him. Have you ever tried it?
No.
Right, I will give you.
Should we do it on
I'll
Should
give
we
you
do
a
it on
grand
Monday?
if you can get not even a long street, just not Deansgate, like Oldham Street or whatever. If you can get down that street with him without stopping at least 10 times, I'll give you 100 quid. Right. This has been
$8 grand.
$8 grand.
This has been the Devil's Podcast. Don't forget as well to hit like, share, and subscribe. We've got all the good stuff coming up. With some about the Arsenal game, we'll have the preview, we'll have the watch along, we'll have the fan cams, we'll have all that stuff. So make sure you watch that. Thanks for watching.